Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tiff Talks Tech. Today, I'm really excited to invite my friend Sydney Weber, who is the Senior Director of Marketing at Venn, and we're going to be covering personal branding and how we can use technology to really make it the best that it can possibly be. My friend Sydney has an amazing podcast, and I do want her to talk a little bit about that as well and just kind of how it started. So before we really dive in, can you tell me a little bit about you and your podcast?
Yes. Hello. Thanks for having me, Tiff. I am honored. I want to get used to calling you Tiff because Tiff Talks Tech is so
Yeah.
cute, but I call you Tiffany.
Yeah.
But thanks for having me. I love being a guest. Usually I'm the one interviewing, so beware, I might ask you a question. I do host a podcast. The origin story of my podcast is kind of funny. So when I was a brand new baby prop tech marketer, when I just got off a 5-year run of being a property marketer, I somehow weaseled my way into a job at Knock. And it was my first time doing B2B marketing ever. And I, like many others, fell under the spell of the Chris Walker of LinkedIn and his podcast. And I was like, how can I actually do demand gen? How can I drive interest and awareness to my brand? And so me and the content marketer and a couple people schemed, and we came up with a show called Renter Obsessed. And really the origin of it was I went to AIM and I had so much fun and I met all these people and we had such a great time. And I just didn't want it to be over. I wanted an opportunity to spend time and learn from others doing what I'm doing and my customers on a weekly basis, because I feel like as a work from home marketer, you can kind of get sucked into your little bubble. And unless you are having constant conversations with your customer base, your prospects, your peers who are doing what you're doing, it's really easy to lose touch with what
Yeah.
actually matters and what your customers actually care about, which makes you not a very good marketer. So selfishly, so Renter Obsessed ended when I left Knock, and then after that, I had a few people approach me and be like, "Well, what's next? Are you going to do another one?" And I decided to start one called Life After Leasing. The title is because I started as a leasing agent for no reason other than I didn't have a job and was trying to get free rent. So I just strolled right in, trying to get
Sounds
some
like
free.
everybody's multifamily
Yeah,
story. Just stumbled on in, and here we are.
yeah. And so I called it that because you love an alliteration, but also I just there's so much to a career that you don't know when you're a leasing agent. I had no idea I'd have this crazy career as a marketing leader in tech. That's crazy. I literally have a theater degree. Who gave me this power? But it's been a really cool journey, and I like to share that journey on the show, and I like to bring on really smart people and learn from them every week, like you, and also we bring in outside the industry people. And we talk about career stuff and how to advocate for yourself and how to make more money. It's just really whatever I want to talk about in the moment and whoever brilliant I find to be on the show. So it's been very fun. It's almost a year old.
So exciting. I love hearing about that journey, and I have to say you've been one of my inspirations, and I've said this to you before, but thank you for all your advice, because that's part of why I wanted to start my podcast. I'm like, hey, I need to work on my personal branding too, and what can I do?
Even if not a single person listens to my podcast, and I do look at the numbers sometimes, but not often enough, I get so much out of it just from a research perspective. Last Thursday, I had the VP of leasing from Asset Living on the show, and he basically told me how to sell to Asset Living. And he told me how Asset Living has grown so fast. And you learn real time what's working in the industry and who's experimenting with what. And just then I'm able to stay up to date on everything happening. And I'm very glad that you started a podcast because yeah, you were kind of afraid because you're like,
Yeah.
does this industry need another podcast? And I said, yeah, there are people who probably find my voice insanely annoying and will never listen to my show. There are people that don't want to hear about the weeds of marketing I get into. And then there's people that want to listen to, modern multifamily or whatever other shows are
Yeah.
out there. There's a bunch. Everyone's it's podcasting is such an intimate thing. They're listening to your voice in their car, you're accompanying them while they clean their house. I listen to podcasts nonstop, and I like to have a constant flow because when you run out, you got to get hit the next one. So I don't think
Yeah.
I think it's crowded, but I think that's okay because everyone's tastes are different.
Yeah, I think they are so different. And in my opinion, you're one of the first people that I see doing it in such a relaxed way. You can break it down in a way for people to understand, which I really appreciate. Um, and on that, do you, I'm selfishly asking for my own sake, but how do you meet a lot of your guests? Do you already know them, or is it something where, oh, it just let one thing led to another and we just kind of connected?
That things have shifted for me quite a bit.
Yeah.
Back in the day, back in the old days, renter obsessed, it was a little more, I feel like I was doing a lot of outreach to find people to come on the show. Um, and it was okay because it was part of my job and I had like the time to set aside. And that's different now. Like this is my own thing. I don't like, I work full time and I do this. But because of the longevity, because of the consistency of me doing this work, I'm starting to develop a listenership. And in turn, I have people, I mean, I'd say that 90% of my lineup coming up is people that have approached me to be on the show.
That's awesome.
I have PR folks trying pitching their clients. I have a lot of the conversations. I meet listeners in the wild, like at conferences, and they tell me about they love the show. Brent was one of them. He was a listener, and he was like, "I want to talk. I'm interested in this. I want to talk about this." And I find that every time one of these people approaches me, that's really passionate and like feels in line with what we're talking about, they have a unique contrarian perspective on a certain topic, and I definitely am weary sometimes of people that approach me to be on the show to really make sure they're not just coming. I'm like, I'm not going to be a platform for you to do a free sales pitch. Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I also don't want to talk about a topic that everybody else is talking about. Like I don't want you to reiterate the same thing. And I also want you to be able to come onto the show and be well versed in your topic enough and have real life experience that you can get into the serious weeds about it. Because I want case studies. I want like actionable, here's XYZ steps that I did, here's how they're repeatable, go implement them into your business tomorrow, these are the results you can expect. Like that's one thing that's really different about my show is I'm not going to ask an executive to come on and tell me about a story of real estate. Like I don't want to hear about how you're so great and how your business is like I inherited my family business and this is how I feel on the market broadly, but I actually don't do with this stuff. I'm just sitting back in an executive roundtable. Like I'm really not interested in talking to those people. Like they have a place and they're brilliant and they can like go do their thing. But my podcast is for like mid-level marketers or like salespeople, like anyone like that's kind of like individual
Yeah.
contributors doing the work. They should leave this show understanding a topic more thoroughly or with actual takeaways that they can go implement in their business. That's
Yeah.
the point.
And I think that's so important because that's something I'm sure you look for. That's something I look for when I'm listening to a podcast. I'm not going to waste my time if there's not something I can take from it and actually apply to my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So you just started a new position at Venn, which is amazing.
Mhm.
And I'm sure your personal branding probably contributed to that, right? Do you feel like there were opportunities that came up because you put all this time into your personal branding?
Girl, you have no idea. I like don't want to say this on this podcast. I don't think I'll ever apply for a job again. I'm not kidding. Like I literally haven't in years. I have not applied for a job ever. I've never applied for a job. I no, that's not true. I have applied for jobs,
Yeah,
but since I've been in multifamily in 10 years, I have not cold submitted an application one time.
that's
Every
amazing.
single job I've gotten is from networking. Do you want to hear a crazy story about how I got my first marketing job ever? And then
I
I'll
would love
answer
to.
your
Yeah.
question. Okay. I was legitimately a temp. I was a leasing agent temp and I was doing tons of theater. I just like did not care. I was like, corporate America's not for me. I will be on Broadway, whatever. I was all about the theater life. And I was temping. I was at a property in a really rough neighborhood in Portland, and there was a shooting at the property. And I'm just my little temp at my little desk, um, freaking out. And it was the day before. And the president of this property management company that I was temping at walks in and he's the old regional manager from when I worked at Greystar and I was my very first job. And I had kept every time he'd come in, I knew he liked to talk about his kids and I knew his daughter liked theater. And so I'd always ask him about his kids and he loved me for it. And I would always ask him like, I want to get into marketing. And I even shadowed the new marketing coordinator they hired like fresh out of college. He knew that I was into marketing. And so he walked in, he's like, what, Sydney, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, I'm just temping for a little extra money, but I'm really started my own, like, I've been doing marketing. I was running the Facebook page for a real estate agency, and me and my friend started a blog about the Pacific Northwest. Like, that is what it was. And I was like, oh yeah, I started this blog. Here it is. And like, I've been doing marketing for Windermere, like whatever. And I totally inflated it. But he knew me and he liked me, and he had just opened up a marketing job and literally didn't even post it. Didn't interview anyone else. Offered me the job.
That's amazing.
Updater didn't post the job yet. I knew someone, they didn't interview anyone else, offered me the job. Then they didn't even think they were hiring a marketer. They weren't sure. Like, it wasn't like they didn't post it.
Yeah.
Got connected through someone, got the job. There is such power in having the audacity to like say that you know how to do things, with whether or not you know how to do them, and learn on the fly. There's a little bit of faking it till you make it, but actually being able to tie all your life experiences into and find ways to make them relevant in some way to what you want to do, because they actually are,
Yeah.
is a really good way if you're trying to, like, maybe you're on the operator side and you want to get to the vendor side, but in a marketing capacity. Like, you don't want to be in sales, you want to do marketing. Like, find ways to tie what you're doing to that. But I got this job at Venn because of my brand, because of speaking at conferences, because of having the podcast. It was actually Daniel Polino at Bizzuto, who I had known from the conference circuit for a while. He was like, I really like what you're doing. And the way I presented brands and the way I presented my
Mm.
personal brand resonated with him. And he walked his little self over to the founder of Venn and was like, you need to hire this person. She's the best marketer in prop tech. Like, I don't know that that's true, but that's what he said to him. And I was
Yeah.
like, pretty good on my ego. But it truly, like, the impact you make on people, and you don't know who they are or if they have a job for you now or one day. But the chances of, if you like leave a good impact on people all the time, and you're really authentically yourself, and also
Yeah.
you're doing it. Like, if let's say you're doing really great marketing and you don't put it on the internet, like, it doesn't exist. If I was not hosting a podcast, if I was not posting about my marketing strategies and speaking at conferences, I may have been qualified for this job, but I would have never been recommended for it or even considered for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I love your story about kind of inflating a little bit, because I think it is true experience, but the way you saw it was not exactly that way. And I think so many of us do that. I do that all the time. I mean, moving into the vendor side, I was like, I have no experience in this, so why would they even hire me? And I had to have a friend come in and tell me, hey, you've done X, Y, and Z, and that applies this way. And so the
Mhm.
fact that you already knew that is amazing.
Yeah. Any of you little baby marketers out there want to break in and do what I'm doing, tell me what you're working on, and I will tell you exactly how it's relevant to this job. I'm serious. Like, there's so much crossover. But also, men apply for jobs that they are like 60% qualified for,
Yeah.
and women only apply for jobs when they're 100% qualified. And that's why you see, I shouldn't say this on a podcast. That's why you see so many unqualified men in positions of power,
I mean,
because they
it's true.
they
Yeah.
have the confidence to just say, yeah, I can do that. Like, apply for a job as if you're a man,
Yeah.
truly, because
I
they are.
started taking that on too. I'm like, I don't feel qualified for this, but what man is, I mean, there are plenty of qualified men, but like, yes, knowing that it makes you see things differently.
Yeah. What is that TikTok sound of that girl? If a boy could do it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So I'm sure that you've utilized technology a lot in forming your personal brand. So how has that really played into it? Obviously, we would probably be nowhere without LinkedIn, right?
Oh yeah, you're taking me all the way back to LinkedIn. Truly, if you want to think about like my technology experience, I learned how to HTML on MySpace back in the day.
Hey, same
But
girl.
I can't remember a time before AI now. I just don't think I could do it. I don't think I could truly go back to before AI and
When
still
we
be
had to use our
successful.
brains.
I do use my brain.
I
Okay,
know, I know.
so technology is super important. One thing that I am notorious for is being able to do a lot of things really, really fast. And like, I take on an insane
Yeah.
amount of work, and everyone's like, what are you doing? How are you doing all this stuff? And my answer is, I do know the AI. I
Mm.
am using so much AI. number one, ChatGPT. I've had it since day one. I literally downloaded it and thought it was illegal. I'm like, what did I download? But I'm into it. Um,
Yeah.
and I experimented with it quite a bit. And I have thoughts on AI for writing. I think
Yeah,
that
I want to know your best practices because I feel like it is a newer thing out there. What do you think?
I think that everybody wants to write with AI, but nobody wants to read AI writing.
Yeah.
And I am going to use AI for instances that I don't think people will actually like truly read. They may read, but things that you have to do. Like I want to do a $13,000 video testimonial. I need to write a project brief that's like very well organized. And I'm just gonna like stream of conscious write everything that I want and everything that how much it's gonna cost, what I expect to use it for. And I just like vomit into ChatGPT and then it will create a beautiful project brief. I'm a marketing leader now. Like I need to have strategy. I need to be organized. I have to have slide decks. I have to like tell everyone what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
But I also want to be doing it. So I don't want to waste my time on like beautiful internal organizational messaging. Like
Mm,
I'm gonna vomit my thoughts into ChatGPT, and then it's gonna put together beautiful decks. It's gonna put together beautiful outlines, everything that I need. Another example is like, if it's a pitch for a conference,
yeah.
I will same thing. I'll like here's the structure. Here's what the
Yeah.
conference asked for. Here's my ideas. Now I'm just gonna stream of conscious right into this. Everything that I think will be relevant. It'll pull together a talking points doc. It'll structure it exactly how they want. It's a really great use case for ChatGPT. If you're going to come on my show, you best believe I did not write those interview questions, especially since I know I'm probably not going to ask them. But I know you're going to want interview questions, but we're just going to have a conversation. But people are not comfortable with that. So I use ChatGPT to write that. When I know that people are going to when I want people to actually read it, like one of my LinkedIn posts, for example, or I write the TLDR newsletter for Revise, I am not going to use ChatGPT to write that. It is a couple sentences. I want it to sound like a human talks. I want you to read it and feel like you're having a conversation with me. I want that to be in my voice. And my voice is not your voice. It sounds different. I might like use I might use grammar improperly for effect. But I want it to sound the way I talk. And that in that case, I don't use AI. But one of my most time saving, I've said this before many times, my most time saving use case for AI is for video editing. I use
Mm.
it called Opus Clips. And as you can see, I've been posting a lot of video and I saw you started using it
Yeah,
too.
I started using it.
Yeah, I post a lot of video on LinkedIn because when in a world where so much is written by AI, people will be skeptical of written content. But right now, what AI doesn't do well is replace humans to humans talking to a camera.
Hmm.
So you can guarantee that this is a person's original thoughts as you're watching them speak. You also start to form a relationship with someone in the same way that a podcast is like it's so intimate. You're a little your voice in their ear. A video is that way too. And so, but video editing is extremely time consuming. So I can drop, an hour long conversation to Opus Clips and it can come up with 13 different minute long videos with my branding, with the captions, everything in minutes. And I can go through those and I can make slight changes and I can go ahead and schedule those out on my LinkedIn. So that saves me an incredible amount of time.
Yeah, and one thing you sold me on with that, not that we're an ad for Opus Clips, but you
I
sold
should,
me
I,
on the fact that it will rank the virality of those little videos, and
yeah.
I think it's so useful because I don't have time to go through this whole conversation and figure out what was the hottest topic of that conversation. So that tool helps do it quicker.
Yeah, it'll rank your hook, it'll rank like the relevance of the content you're talking about, it'll cut it into a full thought. It's super helpful. And
Yeah.
I guarantee if any of you guys are on TikTok and you see videos of podcasters just talking and they're short, like they're all using Opus Clips. You can tell by the style of
Mhm.
um captions, like the
Yeah.
auto generated. You can tell by the style of the subtitles. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
so I did something silly the other day. I was just trying to be cheap and I was like, "Can I do what Opus Clips does in Canva and without having to pay for it?" No, it is so time consuming. I think I took like 30 minutes to try to figure out the first sentence of my video, like how to make it pop out right. And then I was like, "Screw it. I'm paying the $10 and I'm just going to use Opus Clips because it's just going to save me way more time than I would have spent trying to edit it all on my own. So
Yeah.
forget it.
I pay $20 a month for ChatGPT Pro, and I pay $20 a month for Opus Clips out of my pocket. I
Yeah.
also pay for Veed, which is kind of, I don't want to be, but Canva just doesn't do. I use Canva a lot for my podcast, for the promotional assets, for like covers and everything, for anything I need to post and revise, but I just like, it's not there for video editing. So,
Hmm. So what is Veed?
oh, it's just another video editing tool. I just don't have an
Oh.
Adobe Suite. It's
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it did it for you, kind of like Oops Clips.
No, it
Oh, okay.
can. It can add subtitles for you. It's easier for longer form. And like, for example, if I want to post the entire episode on Revise or on YouTube, I would go into Veed and use and like add all my branding and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are
I'd
there
love
any
it
other
if someone else has another option because Veed's kind of expensive. It's like $30 a month, and I'd use it for less. So
Are there any other tools that helped you define your personal brand? Did you take a period of time to like sit down and say, "This is what I want to be. This is how I want to show up," or are you more off the fly? This is just who I am. That's my
I
brand.
when was starting life after leasing, I knew it was my own thing.
Yeah,
I had the opportunity to define what I want it to look like and feel like and be. And I kind of did that with my own, like how I show up in general
yeah.
and in the industry and in my career on LinkedIn, all those places, in person even. And I wrote down a list of what I am and what I am not.
Mm,
I wrote down what I want people to feel when they're interacting with me or my content. I wrote down how I'm different than any other content creator in the industry. And I didn't share it with anyone. It's not like in a deck or anything. I just wrote
yeah.
it in Google Doc. I also worked with my friend Sarah King, who is the lead design, one of the lead marketing designers at Apartment List, and she put together this. I told her, I was like, "This is how I want you to feel. This is who I am." Like anti-tech bro.
Yeah.
um, and she put together branding for me. And actually, her and I met last weekend, and she just refreshed my brand, and it's so much cuter and
Oh,
like more clean. So
exciting.
I'll launch that when I get around to it. But she's very good. And if you need someone to do your branding ever, highly recommend. She's does a lot of freelance work too, but she helped me with that. But I really, my brand is so much, as you can, like, you feel it in the episodes, right? It's so much
Yeah,
more casual. I want you, when you listen to my show, I want you to feel like you're in the room with us, like
yeah,
you're at happy hour with your marketing friends. I will cuss, I will ramble, I will like call it the fact that my dog like popped in through that door the other day. My ducks escaped one time during Renter Obsessed live in front of a live audience. Like there, I wanted to feel very like like a real person. And
yeah,
I'm not trying to use a bunch of jargony words or I do talk about concepts that may go over some people's head,
yeah,
um, as they're very technical marketing concepts, and I don't want to shy away from that. I wanna talk about really technical marketing concepts, and if it's not relevant to you, skip that episode. But I'm not talking about it in a way that you listen to, like, a traditional B2B podcast where it's very, like, I don't know, using big words and in a way that's,
yeah,
like, confusing, but I really try to tie it to, like, very simple ideas and, like,
yeah.
so I think that the most talented communicators can simplify really complex ideas for any audience.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's something we need. I mean, if you look at your story, you started with a theater degree. You didn't have all this marketing background. So you had to learn somehow all these complex marketing concepts. And I mean, I did study business, but I didn't, know everything when I graduated college. I started as leasing as well and had to learn everything myself too. And I think that's so many people in our industry. We
Yeah,
have to just figure it out. So having a resource like that does have the time to go into the technical process is actually super helpful, and it's helped me learn a lot as well.
good, I'm glad. Well,
Yeah,
it's a job.
yeah.
Good.
So are there any social media platforms that you really recommend people spend a bulk of their time on to help build that personal brand?
Yeah, I would take a step back and ask yourself the question, why am I doing this?
Hmm,
Um, why do you want to have a personal brand? Like, why do you want to share stuff about yourself on the internet? Um, I don't share. personal things about myself on the internet very often. I almost never post on Instagram. I think it connects to some old Facebook account, which I definitely don't want to be posting on.
Yeah.
Um, and I, I really give yourself a reason why you're posting. And it could be a number of reasons. It could be you're trying to ensure that you always have a great job. Could be you're trying to find a job in general. It could be you're trying to sell a product or create a personal brand so strong that companies bring you in to amplify their product's brand.
Yeah.
There's any number of reasons why you would create content on or build an audience, but an audience is a very valuable thing to have, especially a targeted audience.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I wouldn't recommend a specific channel until you knew who your audience, who you're trying to reach, where you want to build an audience, where it's most valuable for you, and what you want to do with that audience. Um, yeah, I can post on TikTok all the time and use TikTok Shop and start making, thousands of dollars a month selling hairbrushes on TikTok. Like that could be a reason to post on social media. Like there are a lot of small creators that are generating serious income. I could be trying to sell a course about how to start a podcast. Maybe I do that on TikTok. Maybe I do that on LinkedIn. I don't know. It depends on who the audience is that might want to start that podcast. So I think about your personal brand. This is something that marketers actually I've been so surprised. I've met so many really talented marketers that are shit at marketing themselves.
Hmm.
You're so good at this. Like, just do the exact same thing. I talked to my mentor the other day, and she's like brilliant. And I was asking her all these questions about like, I'm in this new role. I'm building this new marketing strategy. Like, I need help. And she sent me like 4 docs of her marketing strategy, like a roles, like everything I
Mm.
needed to set myself up for success as a brand new marketing leader. And she told me that one day her dream is to start her own business. And I was like, girl, put this stuff on the internet and make it so you charge $10 for it, or you have to put your email in to download it. And then once you're ready to start your business, you have an email list of your exact audience. And then you've already created value for them. They've already got to know you and how you do your work based on receiving your work and implementing in their business. They're going to know exactly what it's like to work with you as a consultant. Like, that is the exact same way that you market a product. You market a person that way. So I did not answer your question,
No, but
but
I think that's a perfect answer. And like you got my wheels turning a little bit as well. I'm thinking about years ago, I was a Disney influencer. I was a Disney adult, which was really fun on Instagram. And that was my platform. I'm not going to go on LinkedIn to go talk about Disney because my intention was to create brand deals for myself in that space, which I was able to do. And I was able to partner with brands like Coach and Petunia Pickle Bottom and like all these different Estee Lauder, all these different random things through that platform. But I wouldn't be doing that on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, my purpose is XYZ. So I think that's great advice to sit down and think about what's my goal. And that's where I want to spend my time to reach that goal.
and one last thing I'd say about choosing your platform to create your brand, do not feel overwhelmed by how many options there are.
Hmm.
Win in one space. I like LinkedIn because it's not very crowded. There are LinkedIn bros telling you about 5 ways to make 6 figures in 6 months by doing like quitting your job and selling courses on the internet. Yeah, there are people doing that. But if you think about like in the grand scheme of things of like content creators and voices and influencers, like LinkedIn is a place that has more lurkers than creators.
Hmm.
Whereas like, TikTok has probably a pretty even number of lurkers and creators.
Yes.
So because there's so many lurkers and positions of power on LinkedIn, it it makes it easier for me to stand out. And it makes it easier for me to segment my audience. Like, I know when the CEO of my target customer is looking at my profile.
Mm.
That's crazy. I'm not going to know who that is if they're looking at some gardening video I posted on TikTok with their personal account. Like, that's why I love LinkedIn from a B2B standpoint, is
Yeah,
because it's extremely targeted.
you're absolutely right. So kind of coming back to the strategy piece, do you have, I know we talked about like having a plan behind it. But do you have a strategy for your personal branding? Um, like with the content that you create, do you sit down and go, I'm going to post XYZ on XYZ date? Or are you, okay, I have a thought and I'm just going to post it? Like, how do you work with that?
More so the second one, and you can
Yeah.
probably see that. And I don't have a huge presence. I mean, I don't have like crazy following on LinkedIn. There, you can speak to 5 other people in this industry that have way bigger following than me. I do have very targeted following, and I do have a very engaged audience, I guess. But no, it's not. It's not as intentional. I do think that consistency is more important than mm, consistency and quality are important, but quality without consistency will get you nowhere.
Hmm.
So, yes, I post when I have a thought. Yes, when I say something stupid on LinkedIn, it does way better than me interviewing someone brilliant and posting a video. It's so annoying. Um, I I'm I'm constantly pressure testing things. Sometimes will repurpose content, not very often, but really when I think about LinkedIn, it's just a distribution channel for your everything. So I really like the podcast because the podcast is like the genesis of the content. Like it is the idea machine. It is the content machine. Every week I'm getting unique content that is industry relevant and timely because I'm talking about real things that are happening right now. And every week I have an hour worth of content that I can take into Opus Clips and turn into 7 different videos that I can schedule out over the course of however long. I can turn it into a blog post. I can turn it into 5 social clips. I can do a lot of things with it. I don't because I don't have time, but you could think about it as a content waterfall. Like what is the top of the waterfall and what are all the distribution channels? And think about that for your personal brand, but also think about that for, your work too. For example, I wanted to build a custom, like a case study strategy at Updater. And I used ChatGPT for a lot of it. I used a lot of my own knowledge. I like put together like my comprehensive strategy of how I record a customer interview and how I distribute it, all the way down to the email I send to the customer asking them to be a part of it. Put all this together for Updater. Spent all this time on this. Why should only Updater get to see it? I
Yeah.
took it, I rebuilt it so it didn't say Updater anywhere. It was like very brand agnostic, company agnostic, and it's a multi-page document that I now have on my website that people
Mhm.
can enter their email and download. Like you are doing work right now. You're doing
Wow.
work that can be repurposed for your personal brand
I love
because
that.
there's no one's reinventing the wheel. Nobody wants to like come up with this strategy from scratch. They want to go to a website and download it. And I also have it in my featured LinkedIn section. So and please download it. It's proven it works. It's very comprehensive. It walks you through every single step. And that's what I'm talking about. Like you have your core content. Think about the way you distribute it.
Yeah, I know. In the middle of that, I heard you say, "Oh, I don't have time to do all of these different things with the content." So, how do you decide these are the things that are most important to me, and this is what I'm going to focus on for that strategy? Because we don't have time to do
No,
everything that we possibly do.
no. I have a hunch
Yeah.
that video well, I don't know if I'm right, but I think that mobile friendly vertical video content will have a giant moment on LinkedIn because they recently launched a new infinite scroll feature.
Hmm.
And so here's my goal. I already have a great job. I'm probably going to stay here for quite a while. I'm not interested in bouncing anytime soon. I want this to be really like my big final case study of how I can transform a business and like take it from, X amount of ARR to X amount of ARR. And maybe at one day, looking future state, I want to be the marketing like silver bullet that VCs throw at their portfolio companies to like transform their marketing strategy and get them out there really fast in a really scalable way that is like nice and repeatable. If that's my goal, I want to have a large audience from a specific niche to think that I'm the best at what I do. So that means I want to grow that audience. That's important to me right now. I'm not trying to get a job. I'm trying to grow my audience on LinkedIn of people that think I'm very good at what I do. I believe so. LinkedIn just launched an infinite scroll feature, very much like Reels or TikTok, where if you're on the mobile app and you click on a video to watch it, you can
Mm,
continue to forever scroll LinkedIn videos. I think it's still in beta. I signed up for an early release of it. I don't know if it's like broadly pushed out across all LinkedIn users. But if LinkedIn follows the pattern of themselves and also every other social media platform, is when they launch a new feature and they want it to take off, the algorithm will reward users who use that new feature. Like
right.
TikTok Shop, like everyone was blowing up when TikTok Shop launched and they post something for TikTok Shop. That is my assumption. I could be entirely wrong because as it stands today, when I post a video that is built for that type of experience, it does not do as well as when I post like something stupid, like a stupid two-liner that could have
Yeah.
been a tweet, you know?
Yeah.
So this is a risk that I'm taking. So I am investing my time in short form video content that's vertical for mobile.
That's awesome.
Because my goal is to grow my audience, to be seen as the person who's the best at what I do. And yeah, if that answers your question.
Yeah,
And
no,
I'm
it definitely
not
does.
trying to blog. Like I'm not trying to do blogs right now. I'm not trying to drive people to my website. Like I don't give a shit if you come to my website.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, please don't. Don't go to lifeafterleasing.com or do, but don't go. But I believe that SEO and stuff, things are changing, and like Google wants you to stay on page one. People are going to find me from discovery of infinite scroll on LinkedIn. That is what my prediction is, and that is what I'm investing in.
Yeah, I think that's super important. And you mentioned you have a niche that you're reaching and that is your goal. How do you feel like you defined that or figured that out?
Um, I know what type of companies I will work for,
Mm,
probably the bulk of my career.
yeah.
Um, it's your Updaters, it's your Vens, it's your Knox, it's these prop tech companies selling into a very specific customer base.
Yeah.
Um, I know who typically makes those buying decisions and who influences those buying decisions.
Mm,
And I want those influential people and those customers to have some sort of relationship with me and know who I am, so that when I do want to host a webinar or speak at a conference or publish a piece of content or do anything, I have a built-in audience that is going, I don't have to start from scratch every time. Like I have the ability to, like, if I post that I work at Venn, we're going to get an influx of people wondering what Venn is, you know?
yeah.
Um, that is very helpful for me. And, it's like an unfair advantage of like, you're going to do the same marketing strategies anyway, but people are going to listen because they know me because I'm their friend, you know?
Except it is fair because you took all the time building it. So,
Yeah, that is true.
yeah. Definitely. So earlier you mentioned kind of looking at analytics, being on LinkedIn and seeing, oh, these are the people that look at my posts. Are there any other analytics tools that you use to figure out if everything is going the way you want it to?
I'm entirely in just the native analytics and
Yeah.
LinkedIn. I'm not trying to really make it a big thing. It is just on the side, so I don't have a lot of time. And even if I did, I don't know that I would.
Yeah.
I we still, as a person who works for a data company, I probably shouldn't say this, but we spend a lot of time worried about data. And I think there's a place for that. I think there's a place for saying my listenership on my podcast went increased by X amount, my
Mm,
engagement on my post increased by X amount. But there is another way to look at success and consider success metrics, and that is that very anecdotal evidence that you're going, things are going well for you. When an executive at one of the biggest property management companies in the country finds me out of the blue at a conference and says, "Oh my God, I love your show. I listen to it all the time. I get so much out of it." That is infinitely more valuable than if 1,000 new people started listening to my show tomorrow. Because I don't know who those 1,000 people are. I don't care who they are. One of them is more important than 10,000 of them. And so don't sleep on the anecdotal feedback. Um, get people to leave reviews. Like they get people to come out of the woodwork, find ways to connect with people. And it doesn't always have to be top of the funnel. Like people don't have to discover you from your podcast. They could have met you in person and you could say, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, you should come on this show I host. And then they come on the show and all of a sudden they have a relationship with you, relationship with the show. Now they're going to go listen to more episodes. And now all of a sudden your ideas and your perspective on the market, they're aware of all of it. Like that is so much more powerful than a single lead that comes in from a LinkedIn ad. Like they have a relationship with your brand and they are listening to your point of view on the market, which is hopefully aligned with your business like constantly.
Yeah, that's something you told me before I even started this because I was a little bit nervous. I'm like, is anybody even going to listen to it? And you're like, hey, don't take too much stock in those numbers and like you were saying, focus more on the impact that you're making.
And for example, you asked me why, like we talked about what social media platform you do. Take another step back. Why podcast? There's
Mhm.
a couple different reasons why you podcast. One, you're trying to make a living and you want to sell sponsorships.
Mm,
Then you start a Disney podcast. You don't start a niche tech podcast in a specific niche ass industry. Like you're never, Tiffany, you're never going to have the numbers you would have if you started a Disney podcast
yeah,
because you are targeting a very small audience. And so the numbers in your podcast, in your Libsyn or whatever you're using, do not look at them. Do not care about them. Obviously, if it's like two, then do use the content in other places. Like
yeah,
I've already seen you do, but it matters who's listening, not how many.
yeah,
For our purposes, because we're not selling ads for dog DNA. Like we're not selling, toothbrushes. We're on our podcast. Like we're never going to get that kind of sponsorship. We're this who we might get as a sponsor is, like Zip Code Creative, Revise, like these companies that
yeah,
know who our audience is it and want to get their brand in front of it, and they will invest in the podcast if you're
yeah.
trying to use it to make money.
Totally. I think that's amazing advice. So if people are just wanting to get started in their personal branding journey, what advice would you give them to get going?
Yeah, really ask yourself who you are and why you care. Why are you specifically in a position to speak on a topic? Like why is your voice relevant?
Mm,
And not in a mean way, but like maybe your voice is relevant because you're the everyman and you're asking the same questions that everyone's too afraid to ask. Like you don't have to be brilliant in something. You don't have to be the best at that thing, but give yourself a real reason to like posting for the sake of posting and growing for the sake of growing is it's we're too smart. Like we can see it. If you don't know yourself, if you
mm.
don't really know yourself and know why you're doing this, it's going to be very obvious to the rest of us. And and you know, yeah, have your brand pillars, I guess. Like what are the things that you care about and you want to talk about? Like really define what they are, and then you can branch off from there because it's hard to just sit in front of a blank keyboard and or get a blank, post thing and think, what should I say today? I need to say something.
Yeah.
My coffee order was wrong and how I can relate that to business. Oh, it's let me show this picture from my wedding and talk about the 5 things I learned from my wedding that can help me in my B2B marketing career. Like, oh God, like, yeah, I mean, sorry, and I'm just talking shit, but have a reason to talk. Like,
Yeah.
say something real. Don't just talk for the sake of talking. I mean, or do. I don't know. That's my advice.
Yeah. No, and I think it is easy to just kind of sit there and say, "Oh, I have nothing to say." And so taking those minutes to actually think about what you want to say and even why, I think that's imperative.
Yeah. And get together with your friends. Surround yourself with people that you find really smart and really interesting. Have get drinks, get dinner with them. And what do you got take note about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Take note of what is actually interesting to people in the moment.
Mm.
Maybe start a notes app and be like, you know what? We spent like 15 minutes talking about this one attribution modeling thing. We spent 15 minutes talking about this one cool resident event that one person saw. Like, what is actually interesting to talk about one on one? Bring that into your content.
Yeah. That's great advice. So okay, this is one of my final questions, but how do you stay updated on what's up and coming and what tools are out there?
Yeah, I think that if you want to be a marketer, you have to be comfortable with the fact that you will be a student of marketing for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are not an anesthesiologist who learns how to do that and then they do that. You are a person who is working with technology that will change faster than you can imagine. You can pay $100,000 for a degree that will become irrelevant in 5 years. You be comfortable with being uncomfortable if you're a marketer. Generally, how do I stay up to date? Um, I'm chronically online.
Yeah.
I'm literally watching way too many TikToks. Like I know what's happening in the world. I know what's trending. I know what's trending for different age demographics. I know what's happening politically. I know what's happening pop culture wise. Like I'm aware of what's happening in the world. One, but also I talk to a lot of people outside of my company and outside of my friend group, and I nurture those relationships, and I will take calls with people that I have no idea who they are, what they're doing, and I will learn about what they're doing, and it will inspire me to make me think of something else. Maybe I want to connect them with someone, but talk to people and consume media. Intentionally consume media.
Yeah. That's great advice. And I feel like there are ways to do it in a way that is authentic to you. Like for instance, you're more, I don't know if you would define it this way, but I think you're more extroverted and like outgoing and open to meeting people. I'm very introverted, but I do it in a different way. And everybody has their way that they fit in and can do that. And I think it's important to remember that even if you don't feel comfortable, you can do it in your own style.
Yeah, and you're probably going to be a better fit for someone that feel like I think the people that listen to me and are engaged, like follow my stuff, are people that feel like their peer and I'm
Yeah.
similar and I'm going through similar things. And if you're really introverted, like maybe that's part of like one of your content pillars. Like, how do you navigate corporate America when you don't
Mm,
really feel comfortable? And because I think there's probably a lot of people very similar to you, and is
yeah.
as honest as you can be with your flaws or your struggles or any of that stuff, I think that it really brings people in.
Yeah.
Make
You
them feel
know,
like they're not alone.
yeah, we have such a tendency to hide those things and not want to talk about it, but I think it's what people want to hear the most.
Yeah, because we're smart and we can see right through whatever if you're putting together a fake persona,
Oh,
that
yeah.
a character that you're building for yourself, unless it is hilarious, we will see it through it. Like
Oh, yeah.
we know, just like be yourself.
I will
People
say, like, even in
hurt themselves.
my Disney influencer days, I would go to these meetups and we would meet up with different content creators and they would have one persona online where they sounded outgoing and very bubbly, et cetera, et cetera. And then when you met them in person, there was nothing going on upstairs. And so I was like, whoa, this is crazy how different the two are. So you really can't do that. I think you can read through it pretty easily the minute you actually meet somebody that they're not who they say that they are online, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely do that in that instance, and you're kind of putting on a character, and that's fine. But I think in our case, you're
No.
gonna see people in real life.
Yeah. I
You're
mean,
gonna
we
see
have
them
so
in
many
real life.
events.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way. Okay, so this is my last question, but what's a tech tool that you are loving right now? It doesn't have to be related to this, but what is something you use all the time? Opus
Oh
Clips.
gosh, I don't know. Um, I'm very excited to start my foray into HubSpot again. As a
Yeah.
marketer, I have been in par.hell for the last 2 years, which is like their cheapo. They bought a version of like the marketing cloud for Salesforce.
Yeah.
Um, but as far as like personally, I mean, I love my Opus clips. Um, I don't know. I do use tech. I'm very like an early adopter, but at the same time, I don't get lost in it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I don't have like this robust tech stack that I use for my job. I use Google stuff and I use, Canva like everybody else does, and HubSpot now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really helpful. I mean, just hearing about new tools, you told me about Opus Clips, that was a game changer, and I think that it's helpful for
Mhm.
other people too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't really speak to like your multifamily listeners, but definitely your B2B SaaS listeners. I'm like super stoked to be using Gong again. I'm super stoked to be using HubSpot full suite. I obviously like we're all on Slack, I guess.
Yeah.
But there are certain things. You know what I actually do? I am obsessed with.
Mm.
Revise has this partnership with Storyline, and I built a bunch of story. I worked with our designer to build
Yeah, yeah,
Storyline demos when I was at Updater, and that's something I definitely want to implement at Ben as well because
yeah,
I know that people are too busy to sit through an hour-long demo and they want to just see the product. And I love the idea of being able to self-serve as much of the user like buyer journey as possible. So
yeah.
very into things that allow customers to like move through the funnel at their own pace.
Yeah, I just did an episode with Ben at Revise, and I I didn't wanna make it a full sales pitch, but it did kind of feel that way to me because I was the one leading it that way, because I just love all of the features that Revise has, and I felt like as somebody who was in that space, that's something I really wanted to have and be
Uh,
able to do my own sales research rather than being sold to all the time because you're just
yeah.
overwhelmed.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan and also I'm part of Revise. So I'm like not just promoting it for the sake of promoting it. I'm definitely involved with them. So like
Yeah.
shameless plug. But no, they're doing really important work that's necessary, which is why they've taken off so fast.
Yeah, definitely. Sweet. Well, thank you so much for your time and for being on the podcast. Where can people connect with you? Probably LinkedIn, I would say, in your
Yeah.
podcast, right?
Find me on LinkedIn. It's Sydney Weber with two B's. I work at Venn. You can email me if you want, sydneyw@venn.city, Venn with two N's. What else? You can send me a note through lifeafterleasing.com or maybe just like follow the show. Make sure you follow this show first and then go follow Life After. But yeah, I'm on the internet.